pretty much what I've been doing my whole career.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's crazy.
Then you'll fit right in. So
Give me a
anyway,
camera and just send me on an assignment and I'll pull back as much as I can get, cut you something.
Deal.
you heard it right here on Talk Story Unscripted. Good morning, or I should say aloha, everyone. Welcome back to Talk Story. My name is Pete.
And I'm Doug.
And we have somebody who's like family to us. This is Nate Carl down below. He's a cinematographer. And Nate, so good to see you. How you doing, man?
Top of the morning, boys. I definitely miss you guys. It's been a while.
Too long.
Yeah,
Too long.
way too long. So Nate is the founder of Freedom Media right here in Hawaii, and he does fantastic work, cinematographer, and he does a lot of work for Kalo TV. So Nate, how is the whole COVID thing going? Has it affected your work? Are you limited? Are you just getting through it? You're pushing through? What's happening?
Yeah, of course it's affected my work. I mean, all the event stuff I usually shoot, especially the summer, it'd be completely wiped out. It's been a little challenging, I would say, just all around. I mean, it's been a blessing too, though, because we got to spend a lot of time with my son and, of course, my wife home. And the challenge of being a teacher now for at-home schooling, that's a little bit of a challenge, but it's been rewarding too, seeing my son develop further, because he's only in first grade, or he just finished first grade. So on to second, and pros and cons, the lack of income, of course, is the biggest hurt. And then just being kind of confined a bit, not being able to go shoot. And of course, like all the stuff I used to love doing with you guys, it's been on the back burner. It's
Yeah.
Too much work.
Yeah.
Well, dude, you know what? We should be doing like a Hawaii or a Waikiki zombie apocalypse movie right now. It's like crazy, right? Everything's empty.
Right. Did you see the drone video I did of just flying over Waikiki when it was empty? I posted it on YouTube. It's pretty popular. Just like COVID-19, empty Waikiki, like you'll flashback in time kind of thing.
Yeah. That's like the breaches are just completely cleared. But it's still, the streets are still cleared. There's I drove through there a couple nights ago and it was like maybe 20 people in all Waikiki.
Yeah. It's pretty boarded up still. So I mean, it's definitely way busier than what it was, of course, because they opened it back up for all the locals.
Right.
So take advantage, to go back and enjoy those beaches now.
Yes.
So kidding.
Yeah.
So true. Well, speaking of Hawaii, I got to ask you, Nate, as being a cinematographer, what is your favorite thing? What is the favorite aspect of filming in Hawaii for you?
I mean, of course, obviously the geography. I mean, the topography of this place. And this is a quick backstory was, my start as a photographer was with the Navy. I was a Navy salvage diver, but my skill for the Navy was called a photographer's mate. So I went to formal training as a still photographer with film, and this was right before the digital age came upon us. And literally the last curriculum in the class was like Photoshop and digital cameras, and they were pretty kind of old, proprietary kind of DSLRs that were made by Nikon, and then they had this Kodak processing like attachment to it. It was really interesting. And then of course, digital took over like a year after. This was back in 2002 when I went to photography school, and then went to Navy dive school. I was second in my class, so I got to pick. I was the number 2 position. The number 1 guy. There was only one set of orders to Hawaii, and I was surprised he didn't take it. It was for Ford Island. It was at the Navy dive school there. It was a scuba school. And, I couldn't believe he didn't take it. So I had second pick. I was like, oh, I'm going to Pearl Harbor. I'll scrape barnacles. I don't care. Because I was a surfer too, but I always knew the mecca of surfing was here, and of course, just Hawaii, everything. I'd never been here before. Long story short, I did two tours, Pearl Harbor, back to back. And my whole original foundation was as an underwater photographer. I did some land stuff too. And I just fell in love with it. It's part of the reason why I got out of the Navy, because I fell in love with more creative things behind the camera and filmmaking. I transitioned into doing video from stills. And of course, back to your question, was those elements of like being in the crystal clear water, shooting at pipeline, shooting just all kinds of different projects that I've been blessed, thankfully, from the Lord, just gave me a lot of opportunity. And a lot of it came actually from just volunteering for different nonprofits. I wanted to help various nonprofits because I saw the need, like things I believed in. One was access surf, to help people with disabilities and getting back in the water. I mean, any kind of ailment, struggles people may be having, whether it's PTSD, a soldier or someone who's just born, multiple sclerosis, or someone who gets paralyzed. They do everything for any blood, from any age. And I really saw what it was to serve. And I literally went right when they started, the first couple of weeks, there was one little tent, 4 surfboards. And then I just was like, hey, I want to help you guys. I want to shoot pictures and I want to make some videos. Let's get this thing big. I really believe in it, And I really, I think that was the first time I'd ever truly served in a way of first it was me paddling people out, getting them off boards, helping them. And then I said, gosh, let's promote this some. I'll shoot some pics. It still helped with the aspect of getting them off the board and all that.
Right.
And saw it really just grow and grow and grow and grow. We got involved with the Wounded Warrior Project for soldiers. Got to hear some amazing testimonies, guys saying how they were suicidal that morning and then said that we gave them a reason to live from the ocean. And just of course, all those times being able to share my own testimony with the Lord and how he's changed my heart and why he brought me there.
Back up a bit. What are you wearing there? What is that?
Oh yeah, this is the original Kalo.
Yeah.
Watch. Yeah. Girl.
Oh, dude, old school.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
It looks brand new.
I know. It had the Kalo leaf back in the day. I love it.
Yeah, man.
And it says on the back says where the word is heard. It's a small, not on this one, but the original.
So do you have a favorite hidden spot in Hawaii that nobody else knows about that you love to film?
A hidden spot. I usually like to shoot places that aren't as inhabited, like say the end of the road on the west side or the end of the road on the north shore on the west side, like Mokuleia, Yokohama Bay. I like trying to pull in some of those backdrops, those dramatic mountains towering to the ocean. Of course, since I started shooting with my drone, just the aerial stuff is that's one of my biggest. Of course, it was water. I still love shooting the water. Not enough of my projects call for me shooting in the water. I really miss that. I haven't shot in the water that much.
Nate, I got to tell you, man, I think two of my lenses are falling apart thanks to the weather of Hawaii. It's what is going on? It's crazy, right? So there's some challenges shooting here. That's obviously a physical thing. But what are some of the challenges that you find in shooting here in Hawaii?
Well, you mentioned the main one was the salt, salty air. I've had camera housings flood. Not diving, surprisingly, but from shooting at pipeline. And it was user error. It wasn't from a big wave smashing it. It was I didn't tighten up the little wing nuts or I over tightened them. So it's this fine line of not tight enough or, just too tight. Over tighten one side, also just the salty air, I think, just shooting on the beach. The other thing that I challenge with the video particularly, you guys probably know this, is when the light roller coaster is on you. Say you're shooting an interview outside, it's sunny, and midway through, or then it goes cloudy on you, and it just goes crazy dark, and it just doesn't, when you're shooting in manual mode, which is more professional, it's hard to compensate on that exposure, gain or loss.
What are the things, something that you could do as a cinematographer? How do you deal with that? Well, is there something that we could do to make that?
Usually what I'll do, if I don't want to mess with the shutter and aperture, which you usually don't want to mess with, you want to keep the same look, is put your ISO on auto. And it won't affect it as much if you're outside versus inside, because inside you'll get real grainy, but only time you would have a roller coaster inside is if you're just using all natural light from a window and it's sunny, but you're inside and it's getting tons of nice light, and then it goes cloudy while you're shooting that same interview. And then your ISO goes from say 1200 to 3200, and then it gets grainy. You get that pixelated look, grain.
Yeah.
A lot of the high end cameras you don't have to worry about it. Say a red or something like that. But I haven't been able to flip with those cameras.
Yeah. Me both, man.
Yeah. One day.
That's right.
The DSLRs do a great enough job.
I hear you.
And they're way more portable, way more easy to set up.
Well, you've done a lot of projects. As a matter of fact, Nate, you and I worked on a few corporate things together. I actually hired you.
Yeah,
you're not calling me boss.
That was a fun one.
That was pretty crazy fun. And as a matter of fact, the drone work was great. Everybody loved it. But the thing I wanted to ask you, is there a standout project that you've done that really resonates with you from a cinematography point of view?
Standout project. Well, of course, everything. And this is all honesty, everything I've done with Kalo has been the most standout, heartfelt, meaningful, impactful, and the same thing with with Accessor. there's a lot of meaning, there's purpose behind it. You're motivating people, you're inspiring people, you're capturing true heartfelt testimonies. It's like, that's relatable, that people can really feel, commercial work. I'd say the first photo I ever shot, or the first photo I ever sold, was to Billabong. I was surprised, and I only managed to sell to Billabong because I happened to know one of my best friend's wives was a graphic designer for Billabong. So she knew the right person for me to send the photo to, because you can go on Billabong's website, but you never even get that guy's email, And so I sold a photo. Yeah. It was for a local magazine called Free Surf. It was a double-page spread opening of the magazine. When you open it, it's the first one there. And the guy asked me, how much you want for it? And you never know when you're going to get paid. It's like, I didn't even know what to charge. I was just like, yeah. I said, I knew they owned Dakine, because Billabong owns a lot of different companies, like Dakine, Von Zipper, a few other companies. But Dakine makes some of the best camera bags and travel bags out there. And they make some really awesome stuff. So I told him, hey, how about we just trade for some Dakine gear? I listed those things I just mentioned. I want their camera bag, I want their travel bag. And he was like, that's it? And I was like, okay, well, whatever else you want to throw in. So he literally sends me those things. And they're valued at that was valued about $700 or something. I don't know. And it was a one-time use only. They're only going to use the picture for this one ad. And it wasn't a buyout. Buyout's a lot different.
Yeah.
They'll put it everywhere. You usually get a lot more money for it. Long story short, it's going to be a box full of stuff. Billabong, sunglasses, shoes, stickers, shorts. I was just I was blown away, and the Dakine bags, It was cool. It was a cool experience.
Yeah, well, that's how you got that expensive shirt. No one has that shirt you're wearing.
Yeah.
That was worth 20 grand.
This is all volunteer stuff right here.
Yeah,
that's right.
Forget Gucci, dude. You're set up. Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you mentioned the Kahlo experiences, and, I've been working with you with Kahlo stuff for about the past 4 years, and multiple projects throughout the time. I'll say working with you, some of the projects that really stood out to me was like River of Life, working on that with you. That was a powerful.
I agree 100%. Out of all of them, that one was the most powerful to me. The interviews, seeing what true selflessness is with believers. Yeah. All those interviews we did, and I said, wow, this is really what it means to be a Christian.
Yeah.
And it actually convicted me of I'm not doing enough. Yes, we're there. Yes, we're helping promote them. We're capturing these testimonies. I just remember literally crying during some of those heavy testimonies you guys remember. Crying with the people. And I've never done that. That's even part of my own testimony is I had such a hardened heart before God got a hold of it and softened it. And now things like that were I'll just be crying with people,
Right.
And
there was some powerful.
That one, absolutely. That one for sure. All of them been amazing, but that one really is a standout. I agree with you on that one.
Some of the shots from Pete's video of the surf competition, the pipeline surf competition. Those shots were phenomenal. I was like, you nailed it, man.
Thanks. That's fun. That was shooting my GH5 in slow motion. Slow motion always adds so much drama. It's wow, it's just somebody can be walking and you're like, wow, it looks amazing. It's just somebody walking, but it's in slow motion.
That was actually the first day I met you, Nate, when we were shooting that thing. And and it was such a great day. It was I don't know. I think was it the final day at Pipe Masters? Yeah, it was great. It was such a good.
Cool. I love the walk and talk we did too. That was really cool.
That was
fun. A lot of great moments, man. A lot of things I'm just remembering because you guys are talking about it. I love the interview we did with you, Pete, walking down the beach, and the light was phenomenal. And the water almost came and washed us away. The waves coming up.
Yeah, that was so fun. I remember looking at you though, thinking, "Oh my gosh, that gimbal's not light."
Dude, you're getting an arm workout, man.
It is. It's anything longer than a minute or two, and you're shaking,
Yeah. Can you hurry up, Pete, and say whatever you're going to say a lot quicker?
I know. In my mind, I'm like, come on, speed it up.
I know. I've done that.
Something that Pete has always commented on is when we were filming the window washer with Dino and the drone shots that you got that day. Those were spectacular as well.
Yeah, thanks. That was a great shoot as well. I know.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking back on all of them now.
I just love all the reflective windows and the guys hanging down, and you're like, I don't know if you were hovering, I can't remember now, but or moving in or out, and it's just like, oh, that looks so cool. It's such a great shot.
And for Doug going over the side, the man, I was like,
Yeah.
that was sketchy. And you can sense it. I mean, with the camera and your own testimony, you know, I was like, of course, you're going over, like, how high are we up? 200 feet? I don't even know, 300?
Yeah, I think it was about 200 feet, yeah.
If you're 20 stories up, you're 200 feet up for the most part.
Right.
10 foot of story, more or less.
You know what, Nate? You know what we should have done? This is really, why didn't we think of this? We should have thrown Doug in with like a 12-foot longboard into pipe, right? On that day.
Mic him up, yeah.
So cool.
I think I have to be somewhere.
So I got a story for you real quick on that, on pipe, because I used to shoot in the water a lot of pipe, and I had one day where I had my life flash in front of my eyes, and I wondered if it was worth it, because I had just had a kid. I took, pipe is obviously one of the most dangerous waves in the world. It's not. I would shoot multiple different kind of setups, usually long lens. Like a long lens means like a 70 to 200 millimeter from the channel, which the channel is right on the end of the wave. Yeah. The pipeline is known for different angle swells. You'll get waves that actually will shift over into that end section, break right in it. Wow. And I had a decent size one that we call a 6-footer in Hawaiian, which is about a 12-foot wave, 12-foot face. And I remember when it was coming, I saw it, and it was like bearing down on my head. As soon as I went underwater, I was literally in like waist deep water. And it's reef, like a solid slab of rock, and I was like, I immediately thought this isn't going to be good, because it was about to just square, the big lip right on my head, like maybe 3 feet out in front of me, enough for the explosion where it explodes. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, when the lip hit, all I heard was boom of the concussion. It was, and I had the worst beating I've ever had in my life, surfing, shooting, anything. Full somersaulting, ragdoll, like the most violent beatdown I've ever had in my life. And keep in mind, I'm holding a camera with a lens on this big that probably weighs, 15, 20 pounds in one hand on the reef down. So I'm like swimming hand on the reef, and then just, whoa, imagine somersaulting, the most violently flailing ragdoll I've ever had. Like I got hit by a truck.
Jeez.
And I drug underwater, like the length of, I don't even know, 50 yards, 60 yards underwater, flipping the whole way. And I could not believe that camera didn't crack me in the face, the head, whatever.
Thank God.
I was like, guardian angel moment. I'm assuming, because there's been guys who died, photographers who died at pipeline.
Yeah. No way.
At smaller days, Yeah. And I was like, that was only a 6-footer. I'm like, I can't imagine an 8, 10, 12-footer. I probably would have been dead. So I literally, I was starved, and my head was ringing. Boom! Like literally, when people, they're like, oh, that guy got his bell rung when he gets punched by a boxer or whatever. Never in my life have I had my bell rung until that moment. And it was like literally, boom! As I surfaced, and I was starved, and I just kind of like, what I consider swimming, drifted up to the beach, and I was just rattled. I was like, okay, I think I might be done. I'm shooting.
Yeah, that's also known as the walk of shame, right?
Walk of shame. Yeah, usually it's like if you can't make it out, you get pulled all the way down the beach, and you have to come back in because you can't make it back out the other channel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it
was humbling.
Oh, beautiful times. I used to live about a mile away from that, and the one way I would know that the surf was up is when I heard the ambulance. Like, okay, it's big. And that's the way you knew that pipe was going, or even sunset or whatever.
That's eerie.
Yeah.
I still miss shooting in the water. I don't know if I would go. It was a big day at pipe when I was out there. It was like 8 to 10 Hawaiian. And I was on the corner, like I said, and it was like just a medium-sized one that came through and just unloaded right on me where I was at. And it happens all the time with other photographers too.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know. Is it worth it? Because you go and you shoot all those pictures, you got to come home, you have to process them all, go through them all, figure out who they all are, and then you submit all those pictures to all the different companies in hopes of selling something. And I would happen, you'd go a full day work, shoot, send out, and you get maybe, 5%, 10% replies just saying thanks, but we already have, our own photographers, or we already, we got a little bit better angle around now this time, or we don't have the budget, or whatever it is.
It's so
putting your life on risk on that. No thanks.
Yeah. Well, so you love action photography, action cinematography. Is there something, when you think about the future, is there one thing that you would love to go shoot? Is there like a dream project that you would love to do?
I've seen a lot of these Christian films lately that are amazing. I think for me, even if it's us who puts together, I know the Lord's been putting a lot of different projects on my heart, like waking up in the middle of the night thinking of ideas and things we can engage the secular audience with, but also further equip believers in. But I would love to be involved in one of the big Christian films that we've been seeing, even like just the documentary about Christ that we've seen recently that came out a couple of years ago, all the different series. I mean, done incredibly well. Of course, there's some Christian films that are a little bit, the acting may be a little bit cheesy, but the story is there, so I think it's come a long way.
Yeah.
I would just be in love. Anything involved, like going back to the beginning, was just anything that has a meaning and purpose. It's not one particular project, but I just say all of them.
Yeah.
I have to say, there was a time where we were talking quite a bit, texting each other, and you would always throw something at me. Dude, I just heard this song. I see it now. And you'd be explaining everything you'd see as you listen to the song.
Yeah, and I still have all those things. I'm just kind of waiting for this coronavirus nightmare to end. And
no,
put it all together. And, I kind of started writing a little bit of a storyline for a film called Holy War. And it's literally that, the Christianity versus the Muslim thing that's been going on forever,
right.
How one side believes the Isaac and the Ishmael, like the differences in the brothers and why it came to be. And,
right.
I think a lot of time it's scenes that I see in my head, like something playing out, I hear some kind of music or I get some kind of vision God bless me with, and I just start writing and the details of it, and how this can connect or how I can connect with the audience, how can we get at their heart, pull the heartstrings and really make them really think, about eternity, because that's the most important thing, that what really happens the bonus. It's about right now having a relationship with God, it's like,
absolutely.
I tell people, I said, heaven's the bonus, dude. It's about right now, like hearing from God. Would you like to hear from God? Yeah. Of course you would, like he speak to you in your heart. You're not going to hear some audible sound come from the sky. You're going to hear it in your heart, your psyche, your conscious, subconscious.
Yeah. That's good, man. Well, I know we're running a little bit short on time, but we have just a few more questions we want to ask you.
Sure.
Tell us about, you mentioned the being trapped underwater. That was a pretty intense moment. But tell us about maybe a God moment of while you're filming something, you're looking through the lens, and as you're looking through the lens, you're going, wow, this is bigger than myself, like a God moment while you were filming.
A lot of the interviews, a lot of those interviews we did, but one particular moment, I was shooting a commercial project for Aqua Aston in Maui. They're pretty notorious for calling me a day out and saying, hey, can you go to Maui tomorrow? And I'm all like, they are so last minute, spur of the moment. A lot of times I can, sometimes I can't. So, with everything here in Hawaii, the elements, the winds, it's going to be windy, it's going to be rainy, how's the weather going to be? Maui's the windiest island. So, I don't know if you guys have been to Maui, so when you fly in, the trades are like twice as hard as here.
Yeah.
That's a big factor for flying drone is the trades. Okay, so long story short, I go over a late afternoon. The next day they call me. I'm going to spend the night in the resort, shoot that afternoon. When I fly in, that evening to sunset, shoot the whole next morning, sunrise, all the rest of the day, till I fly back out in the afternoon. Well, I get there and it's rainy, cloudy, and that's what I was worried about. I was like, it's kind of rainy, it's cloudy, it's gray. I didn't get anything that first afternoon, nothing usable. This is a resort video, so they want sunny, pretty, light winds. And I'm like, I told them, like, it's going to be windy. It's not going to be that great. Do what you can do. We need it done. Okay, so the next morning, one of their guys from corporate comes over to kind of oversee it. He just checking in and just kind of making sure we're getting all the shots they want. It's still rainy, cloudy, gray. And I'm like, man, so we go to breakfast. I have no idea if this guy's a believer or not. So I'm like, breakfast just comes. I say, hey, I'm going to pray. Let's pray over at breakfast. And I'm going to pray for good weather and stuff. And he said, sure. Yeah, okay, whatever. No joke. I mean, this is like clockwork. Like maybe minute after, as soon as I said, amen, thank you, Lord, I start cutting. And then it's like the sky clears, huge rainbow across the whole beach. And I'll send you a picture so you can plug this video. So I'm not lying. And it was immediately, drop the food, I'll come back to eat it and just start shooting, but it stayed beautiful the rest of the day. And I was like, wow. And then I had an opportunity to share with them just the testimony about the scripture. It says, have not, ask not, like about prayer, and like God loves to answer prayers if it's going to be honorable to him, and he knows what we really need. And it was just like one of those God moments where you're like, wow, that was incredible.
Awesome.
That is cool. Yeah, God showed up, man. That
showed up. And I honestly thought it was going to be a wash. Like I was going to come back some other day because it was like super gray, windy, ugly.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Just lifted. I was like, wow, what else can I pray about?
That's so good.
Hey, so look, we're in the dying minutes of our show or program. And I you know what? We need to think about those that are watching that are young, aspiring cinematographers, right? And you've had some experience. I love what God's been doing in your life. So what are some of the things that if you could share with somebody who's young, wants to do something, loves action, loves getting in there in the middle of it, what's the one thing you would share with him?
You put yourself out there. I mean, just find what you love to shoot, and just make yourself available. Like I said about contacting nonprofits, and just like, I didn't do any kind of thing about trying to be famous. And I think that's one of the problems we see with this generation of kids, my nieces and nephews included. I've had kids tell me, I ask them that, what do you want to do? What do you want to shoot? What do you want to create? What do you have to offer? Like, what are you going to create that's going to be able to help people? Or are you going to create like do-it-yourself videos? Are you going to do? And they're like, oh, I don't know, I just want to get famous. And I'm all like, it's never going to You're going to get famous. Like, people are going to see right through it. So it's like, you got to find what you really are truly passionate about. And I think as a believer, God will give you that. He'll give you, as you guys know, he's one who gives us a purpose. And
yeah.
Everyone's blessed with gifts, and we're to use them to bless others, to serve others. I mean, that's always been my motto with my own company, was like, being able to stoke people out by either capturing their moments, their special day, whether it's a wedding or like those documentaries that we're doing, those interviews, but then being able to share that with others. My passion was initially with like, shooting the water and surfing, but then God said he told me and showed me there's way more to this gift that I've given you that you can really bless people, besides like creating more like an idol of like the surf idol kind of thing.
Oh, that's good, man.
Anything is going to be honorable to him, and then just blessing others. Like I said, so it's about like how much joy you get when you're serving others, I've heard it for years before I finally started doing it from churches and pastors. Yeah. And like, there's no greater joy. I would see it and hear it. And then I finally experienced it, by serving, even Pastor saying by like leading someone to the Lord, wait till you lead your first person to the Lord. And like, that's as a pastor, they become like, not necessarily obsessed, it becomes like, I'm saving people, and essentially that's what we are doing here at Kahlo.
Yeah.
Inspiring people.
Yeah.
You're motivating, you're spurring them on, you're like strengthening their faiths and what they already believe.
Yeah, it's so good.
Awesome, Nate.
Well, you know what? We need to get together. I wish we had more time.
Yeah,
and, this just means that we've got to commit, dude. We got to get together. Look, we'll announce it to you and anybody watching. We've been talking about doing a Kahlo Film Festival where people people can bring their film, make a film, and then we can submit it. And there's a lot of things we're talking about right now. And it's just a really simple, small idea that's really blowing up, and it's exciting. So, Nate, dude, you got to get that script down, and we got to film this thing. We've got some ideas and shorts that we want to do too. So this is not the end. And for those of you who are watching, keep your eyes open for this. We really want to do this. It's a great opportunity to share a story, to, like you said, to share the good news, right? And that's what it's all about.
Especially right now.
Absolutely.
It's like,
yeah, very needed.
So thanks so much for your time, Nate. And next time, we're not going to see you in this Zoom call. We're just going to have to go out and shoot something, man.
That's it, brothers.
And God bless you, and may the Lord continue to use you. And for those of you guys watching, check out his site, his YouTube channel. Check out some of his footage. And until next time, aloha.
Thanks, guys. God bless, guys.